Welcome to Make We Talk here on a special edition of Make We Talk. This is a special edition of Make We Talk. I was trying to figure out if I was live. I didn't know we were live, Owen. Um, Welcome to this edition. Let I see if we're live on YouTube. I'm waiting on my guests to come in. This is a special edition. Yes, we're live on YouTube. This is a we're live on YouTube. This is a special edition of Make We Talk here this afternoon. I do apologize for that. This evening, we're going to speak about Jamaica's crime problem. The problem that is on everybody's mind. I'm waiting on my special guest. They are going to come on that we can dissect and talk about what can we do as citizens of this great nation of ours. What can we do to stem the crime and violence that is facing our country? Believe you me, something need to be done. We cannot continue as a nation like this. Something need to be done, and we're gonna discuss it tonight here. We're gonna see if we can, you know, what can we do? We're gonna see if we can get everything out. Let people discuss it. Let us discuss it as Jamaicans. Where do we see ourselves in 2030? Because we have a 2030 vision. Let I turn off these phones because they're going haywire. We have a 2030 vision. And we need to know what is next in our great nation. What can we do as a people? What are we gonna do as a people to stem this crime? Because government alone cannot do it. Government alone cannot do this. Cannot do this at all. So we need to figure out what can we do as citizens, because some of us know what is going on, some of us do not know what is going on. But majority of us know a lot of things. Majority of us know what is really going on in this country. And so we need to come together as a nation, to come together with the security forces and really do something. We're not going to do anything until maybe it is at our front door. Not at our front door. We have to do something now. That's what we need to do. We have to do something at this present moment, right now. Right now. Now is the time. Now is the time for us as a people and as a nation to come together. Now is the time. We can't wait till tomorrow. Our daughters and our sons, are dying day by day in this beautiful country of ours. And I say to you, I am not afraid to talk up. I'm not afraid to say, listen, our nation cannot and must not continue like this. You have pastors, you have bishops and whatever. They need to come together with their congregation and say, listen, I feel we control this. We have to take it back. We definitely have to take back what is going on. We can't just say, boy, blah, 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 now kind of something. Come on. I really can't go without we figure out what is going on in this country. Jamaica is a nation that is well renowned of land and wood and water throughout the length and breadth of this country and of churches. So why are we having all of this? Why are we continuing like this? Huh? We can't do this, man. We cannot do this. Let there be a way. And I'm still waiting on my guests to come on. I don't know what is going on. You know, and until we, we as a people, there's no way we as a nation can continue, man. There's no way we can just believe that it's a free for all. Believe that, you know, government alone must do this. Government alone cannot do this. Government alone cannot do this. I don't know what is going on. I don't know if my guest may be having some problems coming and I end up changing the Zoom link because, you know, so I don't know. Maybe they're having some challenges coming on. I don't know. Maybe I have to try figure out what is going on. So, you know, I think this Zoom thing got off to a late start and got off to a bad heading because the people who I expect to be on, I don't know what's going on. I haven't seen them. Well, let us see what we can do. Let us see. I don't know. My friend Owen is a bit busy trying to do some other technical work. But let us see something here. This minute you hear that they have a Zozo here and a Zozo here. A lot of people is questioning, can the Zozo really help? You know, a lot of people is questioning a lot of things. So I don't understand what is it. We need to have a say and we need to say what is on our mind and we need to come together and do what is right. You see? We need to do what is right in this beloved country of ours. So if we can't, as a people, as a country, say to ourselves, hold on a minute for me. Just me alone here. I apologize about this. I don't know what's going on. A lot of people said the guests said they're not getting onto the Zoom. So I don't know what is going on. Owen, get on to the Zoom. So what is going on? Why they can't get on? I'm trying to figure out something here. Bear with me, please. I do apologize for this, but I'm trying to see. I need my guests them to come on. I don't know what is really going on here, but let us see what is going on.
Do that.
Hello?
Hey, madam.
You okay? We're live on the on your phone now. We're gonna do it from the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Based on welcome, Sir Clark. Sir Clark is a part of the St. Thomas Crime Prevention Unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Welcome to our edition of Make We Talk here on Roots. Here on Make We Talk, not Roots FM. Based on what you hear today from the Prime Minister, what is your views on it?
To be honest with you, Jeffrey, thanks for having me. Um, I'm lost for words because the SOEs have never worked. I remember Montego we had one some time back, and there was a big shootout in the middle of it. What I think the government should be doing is to tackle corruption.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a zero tolerance for corruption. Zero tolerance. And get rid of all the dons and the extortionists them and deal with crime from that perspective. Because corruption pays. And to be honest, it's breeding a different Jamaica. Because corruption is at every level. And to be honest with you, if you really realize it, I'm wondering if the government really want to solve crime or put a stop to crime. Because what I realize is that there's a lot of security companies have evolved through the years.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're growing so much and so rapidly, it means that there is some kind of benefits.
Mm-hmm.
And what I know with fuel and need for security companies is a high crime rate.
Mm.
So do they really want to stop crime or to reduce crime or to solve crime? Because these security companies are blooming up overnight. The next one that I see popping up overnight is the funeral homes.
But before we go to that, before we really go to that, there is some state of emergency that is being done between Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Kingston, and St. Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think the Prime Minister is. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Westmoreland, St. James, Trelawney.
Mm-hmm.
That's this scammer belt, And honestly, the scammers are getting out of hand. Seriously getting out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a serious infighting going on amongst them because envy and greed. But I want to ask this question. How does the scammer collect the money? I go to a bank in Jamaica and I try to open an account, and the scrutiny that I come under. I go to collect money at Western Union or MoneyGram, the scrutiny I come under. So how are they getting this money? How is this money coming from overseas to them? To me, there must be somebody inside somewhere in these organizations that is assisting them or creating the avenue for them to collect these funds. It comes back to the same corruption thing again. Corruption is at every level. Private sector, in the government body, police force, wherever. Corruption. And you see, if you remember, Jamaica's development plan that was made by Michael Manley was copied by Singapore. And Singapore is crime-free. Singapore is rich and well-established. They took our development plan. But this, you know what the secret was? They had a zero tolerance for corruption. Politicians went to jail or prison, and they did not have any tolerance for corruption. And if that is the difference in the formula, then we need to adopt it. We need to adopt it, and quickly. Corruption must be stopped at all levels. And I think, you see, Jeffrey, I think that when a policeman or a soldier, a lawyer, a judge, politician commit a crime, I honestly believe that the sentence should be 100 times more than the regular man. Because the matter of the police forces are to protect and serve. And we hear police involved in all kinds of corruption. Some of them even go on robbery. Some selling guns. Some giving ammunition. And you can name it. Politicians involved in all kinds of stuff. But are we really serious about leading by example? Are we serious about reducing crime? Are we serious in making a change in Jamaica? When I the crime stats read out this morning, man, I was alarmed. And between Friday to Saturday is 11 murders. That's one too many. That's 11 too many. We're in a serious situation now. Serious situation. And you have pastors that commit crime too. You have pastors and mess with underage children. And everywhere there's supposed to be some level of trust and responsibility. It is being flouted. And it's like, it is okay. I'm tired of hearing that. I'm tired of seeing it in Jamaica. It's time we put a foot down. And it's not about no security minister. It's not about no prime minister. We as a country must demand that there must be a reduction in crime, or there is little or no crime in Jamaica. And we, the citizens, can change that. You see, we're afraid of this about informal syndrome. But you see, when the crime is happening down the road, nobody crying. When the crime happens up the road, nobody crying. When the crime happens across the road, nobody crying. But when it hit their house, we want justice. You see, all kind of placards. We need to start to care before it gets very near. And that's just the honest truth, brother. That's just the honest truth. So I am saying to my fellow citizens of Jamaica, I'm here. I'm saying to my fellow citizens of Jamaica, it is time that we care before it gets near. It is time that we put our foot down and reject these hoodlums and gunmen and gunwomen that is running rampant in our cities and our communities. It is time we put our foot down and reject this kind of behavior. Because before you know it, it will stop at our house. Look at Bath in St. Thomas. It's a quiet community, And one man abduct two underage children in a matter of days. And guess what? We find them, yes, but the gentleman is still out there. And somebody is housing him, somebody is feeding him, somebody is accommodating him. Hello?
I wanted to join from another number.
Hold on for me, Sir Moore, I have you live now. We're gonna use this. Hold on. Mr. Clark, I have Mr. Dwight Moore online with us too. Mr. Moore, what is your views on the whole crime situation in Jamaica, being a business individual?
Well, to be honest with you, I'd have to say that it is clear that it's larger than we are able to acknowledge. However, the security experts have been very strategic, not necessarily aggressive. And so there has been several successes. However, the victims and the communities under threat are also impatient. And that's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how do you match, how do you mix match and pacify the citizens that are at risk, that are bombarded, that are becoming victims every day, whilst the government assembles the apparatus of intelligence, mobilization, training, and all the other components that are required for the government to effect its job. So we have seen a number of successes, whether it's been August Town on occasion, whether it's been the Klansman scenario in St. Catherine, where the murder rate is less than the national average. And so there are a lot of things that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
However, people that are bombarded with doors kicked down and gunshots and missing family members, etc., they are not going to be patient at all. So this is where the government has used more civil rights, citizens' rights, and human rights techniques than some of the techniques of the past. I believe you need a mix, but the government is responsible, they're elected, and they are, putting together that mix that they figure will get them their result over time. I too am impatient, but I can see, however, that there is some level of result. We could even say mixed results. Considering we have had lockdown days, considering we have had, no movement days as it is, there'll be a lot of things that would have minimized and suppressed the rate of murder and crime under normal circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
But the COVID measures themselves, to me, have also been crime prevention measures as well. But the appetite of, the murder hungry, the reprisal minded people is far larger than the government is able to contain. And so they are acknowledging that by now using emergency measures and recognizing that the kind of crime revolution we're having is something that needs some additional intervention. However, short term or band aided revolution we're having, the SOEs may be, and I'm sure that could never be the only measure that they're going to employ. As we have seen in the Klansman and other things, that it takes this kind of time to literally remove or shut down operations. So that is my little take. Don't know if I'm talking too much, but that's my personal analysis. And this is without the data that the ministers of national security have, and the commissioner and the various crime chiefs in the area 1, 4, and 5 areas who are where these actual SOEs are taking place right now. They have data that I've never seen, or nor that I may not be able to interpret.
Mm-hmm. But what we must say, um, a lot of people may ask the question, Mr. Moore and Mr. Clark, that Jamaica has had high crime problems for years. And for years, successful administration don't do a damn thing about it. But them pour cold water on it. And if I dare go further, that people may say that majority of Jamaica's crime problem stems from the political elite. Sir Clark?
Yes, Sir Jeffrey. Can you repeat that for me, please? I got a bit distracted a bit.
No, I'm saying
Yes.
that a lot of Jamaicans will say that Jamaica has a crime problem from Wapi Kill Philip. And the political elite, the political parties have never done anything substantial enough to curb the crime situation in this country.
Yes. I do remember just just before the Tivoli, just before the Tivoli incursion, the former Commissioner of Police, Admiral Arlen Lewin, made a comment. He said that politicians must get their hands out of criminality or gangs. Remember the exact quote, something to that. When he said that, one thing I said, he is finished as commissioner. And 3 weeks after he resigned, because every time he was interviewed, he made the same comment. And it's just that the truth. And the truth and nothing but the truth. And we need to accept that. Politicians must get their hands out of criminality. They are too intimate with some of these young leaders and some of these dons, and they can't talk to them, they can't control them. And then these dons do whatever they see fit to do because they have the packative of certain individuals. You know, I see I think it was a justice minister. Yes, a justice minister. And I remember before he became justice minister, I received some information that he was involved in a certain transaction. And when I had the man swearing as justice minister, I was like, what? And it's good intel I got, you know, good intelligence. But I wish not to be that this time.
No. I don't want anyone to hold my program here hostage. Sir Moore, Mr. Moore, Mr. Dwight Moore.
Yes, sir.
What is your views? I mean, you're a Jamaican. You're a Jamaican who has, you know, successful businesses in this country. What is your views on it? Because when you look at it, successful government hasn't done a thing too much about crime in this country, you know?
The truth of the matter is that there has been a traditional collaboration between politics and crime, not necessarily politicians and crime. In other words, criminals vote and people live in these volatile communities. Some of them are stranglehold for political communities. However, the connection between politics and politicians and criminals have sort of have been very much separate in a long time coming. In other words, criminals have become very independent financially, and if you listen to the Klansman trial that's going on these days and others before, you'll realize that these guys are independent, they're efficient, they're making millions a day, millions a week, and in fact, politicians need their support to stay in power compared to them as criminals needing the politicians to stay in business, if you see what I'm saying to you. Some community.
So hold on, Mr. Moore. So based on what you're saying to me now then, Jamaicans, or politicians I should say, rather have the criminals in their back pocket then, more than doing something about it?
No, I wouldn't go that far. I would say to you that who is a criminal that hasn't been convicted? That is a question you could ask. In fact, the SOE has been challenged legally as to what can be done and what defines an emergency. So at the end of the day, if we're calling somebody a criminal, you may need to know whether this person has been convicted, whether it's an allegation, whether it's allegedly, as is a term that is popularly used now. But let's get down to the policing. The real scenario is about equipment, resources, intelligence. That is improving, not quick enough, not fast enough. We have seen where Jamaica has been effective. A lot of things are coming together. All I'm saying to you, my brother, is that there's a lot of data that I don't have to make a critical analysis of what the police or the government is doing on crime. I would want to say it is not aggressive enough, but I can see that there is some strategy taking place. And so the government has identified through the Commission on National Security, have identified some communities and some divisions that they're going to be improving on their presence over the next couple of weeks. And I'm looking to see what happens. Believe it or not, every now and then the government seems to go cold on crime. And then all of a sudden, there's a big success. So I would want to just say, boy, yes, there's good reason to be analytical, to be critical, but I'd have to call the citizens who live in these communities to feel free to contact the commissioner's office, to contact MOCA, Mr. Fitzbailey and team, because they have shown competence that we really haven't seen before in terms of the witnesses that they're bringing forward and the kind of cases and gangs that they're bringing down or interrupting. So I would say that it's not all gone, but I would say it's for those people who have been victims. It can't come too soon because 1,200 people murdered already. Children, women, families, brothers, twins, parents, you name it, old women. It's not happening fast enough, but it is happening. There is some success coming. Yes, politically, it's a football politically, because each guy is going to score his statistics or say, I did this when it was my turn. But it's not the same criminals all the time, and it's certainly not the same victims all the time. So there is something happening at this time.
But don't you think that the police apparatus, the Jamaica Constable Force is fed up in a sense of that they will take down a notorious gang lord or whatever they want to call it, and it's a slap on the wrist when you go go before the court of the land. Is either they get out scotch free or they get a little slap on the wrist. Don't you think that the police force is upset about this?
I am sure.
Hello?
Here.
Sir Moore? Okay, until we can get back Mr. Moore, Sir Clark, what is your views on what I just asked?
Yes, the police
Go ahead.
will a bit desensitized. Mr. Moba?
No. You go ahead. I'm gonna
Hello?
get him. No, go ahead. I'm gonna get him back.
Yeah, man. And they'll feel discouraged. I can tell you one thing, previous years ago, how Indicom was operating, it sort of cramped the police from effectively taking on criminals out in the field, because they were scared to fire their weapons, and then they might have to sit before a court for years going to a trial to say that, the issue was questionable. So they were reluctant to respond. But one of the things I would love to see happen in Jamaica, and this is for the Justice Minister, I seriously think there should be a stringent sentencing guideline. I've seen a case where a man was out on bail for a murder that was committed in broad daylight. Somebody hit his car, the driver come back and tell him, and he went to a particular community, step out of his car, step into a bar and shoot the man. Then he was on the run for quite some time.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
He was
Hold on, Mr. Moore. Hold on, Mr. Moore. Go ahead, Mr. Clark.
Yeah, while he was on the run, he altered his appearance. The whole bleaching thing or whatever. After he left the island, came back, and he was playing football for weeks, upon weeks, with I think about 3 police officers. And then somebody pinched on the police one day and said, man, when I look for that, I'm not playing every evening. And he was arrested. He got bail. While on bail, he got arrested with a gun. He was sentenced to 3 years with a gun. And the murder case ended up throwing out after some time because there was no witness. All the witnesses then disappeared. I strongly believe also that we should look at the Bail Act. Once a man is charged with a gun or murder, him shouldn't get nothing.
But you know something, Mr. Clark. You know something. I must butt in here. We have some laws, Mr. Clark and Mr. Moore. We have some laws in the books in this country from 1938, from Wappy Kill Philip, and successful government amend the laws to suit themselves, not to suit the Jamaican people who put them in there. Mr. Moore,
Yes, sir.
what is your views on that, sir?
Without a doubt, that is part of the process that must be achieved in terms of legal reform. I mean, this government has looked at it. I'm sure the previous government would have looked at it as well, but it may not meet current constitutional statutes, and so lawyers will challenge as they did with the SOE, and so different things have to be interrupted and go back to the drawing board. But there's no doubt that stronger terms and measures have to be dealt with in relation to bail acts, because a lot of these guys get held back with guns after being on bail. So the question is whether they have a strike three scenario that becomes an automatic life sentence or something. Then you're talking about witnesses, how witnesses are provided for example, just imagine any inner city community. Don't have to name one, just any. Most people in these communities are related. So where there is somebody who has to be a witness, they have not, if you extract them, you still have left 5, 6, 7, 10, 12 relatives or 15, 20 relatives in the same community where this criminal comes from. His gang members are still there. The guy is still able to run his criminal enterprise from prison. And if this one witness, as in the case of a Klansman witness now that we're hearing about, don't know who he is, but he decides to save the community, the government would have to protect him and his 20 relatives. At what expense? You know? So maybe these things make this process even more difficult. So where it is that the guy is caught in with something of evidence like a gun is different than when a witness is going to come out and eyeball him and say, I saw him do this. Because that guy has to go back to work. He has to go back to his aunt, his mother, his sister, his children, his cousins, his brothers. There's a killing, yes, this morning, in between last night and this morning in Westmoreland, where a brother was killed while the guys are looking for another brother.
Jesus,
so it comes back to the families and the communities really trying to extricate these guys from the community. And it's going to require citizen cooperation. It's not going to be just waiting on the luck of a policeman who is assigned in Westmoreland but really lives in Portland, has his family in this, distraught, who are missing him, and everybody's expecting the policeman to be a savior when the policeman can only do so much based on what the legal provisions
of the
provide
law
for. And so it takes time. Yeah, it takes time. The Commissioner Ellington, I think, is one of the commissioners who has actually done some significant work on the gangs and the fact that the gangs, how connected they are, and the studies relate to the gangs, and not having people go back to communities from where they were charged. Recently, we had a guy from Portland charged with some sort of a rape, and then they moved him. He went to St. Thomas where nobody knew him, and then he started abducting the girls down there as well. That's the most recent one up in St. Thomas. You remember that?
Yes, I remember that.
You familiar with that one?
Yes, I am.
So there's a big problem. There's a big problem. And it's the citizens. So the government is elected and the government has the responsibility to protect the citizens and the victims and the relatives. But the laws may be actually running behind the capacity of the government to act as they wish to act. And that was proven in the same SOE situation recently, for which the government has to go back and prove that there's really an emergency, that there's truly an upsurge of a particular kind in order to evoke the SOE. At the same time, the opposition wasn't totally in league with them, and so it becomes maybe seen by even the criminals as a political football. Because recently again we read where politicians where politicians defend citizens, to be honest with you. And so some guys are criminals and some are undercover criminals and some are, we don't know who they are until they're convicted. But these are people who vote, and politicians have 5-year work limits, work terms. They're temporary employees and they want to keep their jobs. So we have a major problem in Jamaica, let's put it that way. But I am satisfied that something is being done strategically, but not aggressively. So if I were in that position, I would have done some other things, and so maybe those things may not be constitutional, right? So we have to be mindful. I'd love to know that you got somebody here who was probably a defense lawyer or a constitutional attorney.
I was trying my endeavor best to get somebody on, even a member of my own family, but I couldn't get them because they
I guess we are the family list. We're the family list on a Sunday night.
Yes, everybody love to see with their family. They don't want to talk about Jamaica's political crap that is going on and crime and everything.
Jeffrey. Just today, you know, and I'd call it mere coincidence. I had posted something on my status and somebody responded to me about it. And they started to tell me of a situation in East Kingston, that the war that is actually going on over there is not really a gang war per se. There's this young man, is the Don, and he has like a cult-like following. And he said that the police is scared to go into the area. In fact, they were instructed not to go into the area.
By who?
So I wonder what really happened with the security force. But part of the story they said to me was that it's really a feud between two friends, but they're making it look like it's a gang thing. It's a matter of who going to kill who. And the man is actually hiding in the hills and stuff like that, but the police are not going after him. But you see what he says? That is a cult follower in the community. It's like have him up on a pedestal. And I remember the incursion, they had a sign that told us with Jesus or something to that effect. There was a sign down there, you know. And I just wonder if some people really thinking straight in Jamaica. And I don't think it's education. I just think they've been indoctrinated in a particular way that they glorify certain type of behavior, although negative or unacceptable. They just tend to glorify certain type of behavior. And that tells me it's probably coming from a particular influence, like the music. Because some stuff I hear in songs now, we really want to have them really.
But I tell you something, you know, Mr. Moore and Mr. Clark, I wish I did had somebody else on. I was hoping to get somebody else on, but I haven't gotten them. Let me say something to you. If the government of the day should have, or if they had put on certain bonds and certain cap on certain lyrics that is being played, if the broadcast commission did say, listen to me, man, not only when they sing about whatever, they ban them from certain things. All this bloody song about no put the AK over the wall and over the wall. I mean, come on. We are a nation that have children. We're a country that have churches per square mile. And all of those things have been gone. And the government did nothing about it. And now the crime is out of whack, Mr. Moore and Mr. Clark. And we have a vision of 2030 to do what? To live where?
Who will be here?
Mr. Moore?
My friend, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear from Negril Point to Moran Point.
Well, let me say this to you, my friend. We have been discussing those censorship matters for a long time. The truth of the matter is that I would want to think that the mainstream media is probably now the minority media. And so, just as you know, Facebook, YouTube, etc., censors certain type of material. The guys have their Vivo channels, they have their other places that they play their things. So I don't think that even that kind of censorship is really the issue right now. I think that it's just more social investment, more law enforcement, more long-term commitment to nation building is required.
Mm-hmm.
And it may even have to do with election finance, so that the kind of private enterprise influence that comes in as lobby money to make people either turn a blind eye or forget something or give somebody a priority that shouldn't get a priority because yes, they're buying the way or they're keeping the economy going. I mean, look at illegal money now. Illegal money must be keeping a lot of the economy going. Illegal money is in the car industry, in the real estate industry. You know, they support the banks, they support the wire transfer business, they support all kind of industries, supermarket, hardware businesses. Every business now is benefiting from illegal money. When you look at the fact that the economy has been contracting and shut down for the last nearly 2 years by COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But who's going to stop? Who's going to stop that money from flowing into the communities when the government primarily gave people a COVID $10,000 check last year? These people are working from home or not working at all, for which a lot of people aren't working. Is illegal money keep them going? So there's a lot of things that I don't think it is a simple situation. I think that what the government is doing right now with the SOE, it's a emergency measure, as they have said. Yes, it may be a desperate measure, but I don't know what else they could pull on at this time to sort of put people in check for even a moment. If it has even invoked this conversation that we're having, it means it's disturbing and disrupting the general thoughts. And I'm sure other measures are going to be complemented so that we have a greater and bigger result, because I'm sure that the intelligence gathering component of the police and the military is at a far better position than it has ever been probably in the last 10 years. So I am hopeful. However, I keep saying, I am sure the government is strategic. I am not sure that they're being aggressive. This may be the most aggressive move that they've made recently. And again, strictured by law, because this thing has gone to the Supreme Court and there's been certain rulings and there must be certain compliance. So I can't shout it down. I can't shoot it down except to say the citizens have to find a way to make it uncomfortable as well, as the Klansman witness has done. You see what I'm saying? So
yes.
There is a pattern. There is a pattern where we are then taking responsibility. We're not just leaving it to government who live in well-secure homes, well-guarded homes, and elsewhere, where they're not as affected by crime as a lot of the other citizens are. So the citizens, if they are so bothered, need to make a move and take some responsibility. Let's flush out some of them people. Using legal systems.
As what journalists from Roots FM, my good friend and technical operator here, Owen Brown, said on a program that he has, there is no way that if you have the Zozo and gunshot there down a Rima and the Zozo there Rima mouth, the soldiers must can respond. They can't just sit down so and say Zozo we have him. And that has been going on for a long time, Mr. Moore and Mr. Clark. That the police...
I'd have to say resources. I'd have to say, as I said to my brother, we're having this lovely conversation, but I feel somewhat limited in the fact that we don't have one of the experts who can actually answer the questions, because we are speculating. I don't have the kind of information to speak to the data. And yes, we have seen where the guys have killed people close to or shot up people close to where these things are, but those were stationary units and stationary SOEs, etc. The fact that there's a lot more innovation, they have a QRT now that has been intervening in a lot of things, recovering AKs and all kind of things going on in Seaview Gardens and all across the island. That is a newer intervention. And I do believe I am committed and stand here tonight saying that I do believe, because I know that the people at the top are not idiots. I'm sure about that there is more to come. And so what we're seeing as SOEs is not designed to to curtail everybody's movement, but
Mm-hmm.
it is a signal of a strategy that's going to be more surgical in terms of reaching the criminals where it matters. Criminals are migrating because the pressure is on them. They are moving from here to there and turning up in all sorts of communities where, again, they're being flushed out because communities are rejecting them.
Mm-hmm.
So something is happening on the ground. It's just that, unfortunately, before we get the result, they may have snuffed out some people's lives, and that is something that is regrettable. But I don't think that the government is. I would say I wouldn't even go to say that the government has been passive. I just think that they have not been aggressive, but they are strategic and they're using methodology, data, and science. And so I would want you to have the voice of a Mr. Fitz Bailey
Yes.
or the commissioner or the national security minister or somebody from the DPP's office or the justice ministry, because these are the cogs that the whole thing revolves around. And I am sure, while I'm not privileged to know what they're thinking, I have seen pieces of it manifesting, and that gave me the confidence to speak the way I'm speaking now. But
Maybe,
we do need the authority figures to come out.
maybe Mr. Moore, you can I don't know if you have the know-how to help me to get the Minister of National Security on this program, because when it comes on to Roots FM, majority of these politicians think that Roots FM is not really the platform for them, or the Make We Talk program that comes on now and again on the internet, but always on the internet with Roots FM. So maybe you can assist me to get the Minister of National Security, who is the Deputy Prime Minister, to come on and speak about the entire crime situation that we face in this country.
I can't say I'm that influential at all, but I can tell you that the team is very active. I mean, I have seen snippets of it. I've not spoken to the minister, so I cannot speak for him,
Mm-hmm.
but I am pretty sure I have spoken to a couple of deputies in the police force from time to time. I'm privileged and I may get a chance to ask a question or two, and I am satisfied that work is in progress, but we can't be patient enough to see the results coming home.
But
And hear what? In the same way that we see across the entire island, the rib of the island, minus St. Anne, St. Mary, Clarendon, and Manchester, outside of those four parishes or thereabouts, the whole island is under this crime surge. So therefore, they're busy, and the resource people we're looking for, the boots on the ground, are also busy with the soldiers and the police. They're making their sacrifices. The strategic thinkers are doing it. It's time the citizens step up now. It comes down to the citizens. So we can blame the politician who have a 5-year job. If have a part-time job, he's not going to get back his contract. So we can be comfortable blaming him or he or she, whilst we sit down in the comfort of our house, have family members who are criminals, eating them food, drinking with them, and then mourning when the reprisal comes because we're hosting these criminals. So it has to refocus back on, in other words, when a crime go down tonight, inside of that home, where there's domestic violence or in the neighborhood because of a reprisal, the police can only react. The police cannot do anything preemptive. We know the tension in the house. We know what's going on in our community. We need to go call it out. The focus when come back to the citizen and the homeowner or the resident.
Mr. Clark?
Yes, I wanted to jump in earlier. One of the things that I observed from the early SOEs was that when they initially started, they were vibrant and somewhat aggressive. But then I started to hear some complaints coming through the certain channels that they weren't being paid overtime and stuff like that. So I realized that their spirit was a bit broken.
Mm-hmm.
One I think should be happening with the SOEs is not just have a post at certain entrance and exit of communities, but I think there should be teams going through those communities and sometimes doing some door to door or house to house checks and so forth. I remember we had a flare up in our community here in St. Thomas, and they actually made a police post in the community
Mm-hmm.
at every entrance and exit. But there was a team that rove through the community, and they never had any reprisals or flare ups per se. But they sort of build a relationship in that community. And when they actually moved the post, the community was asking the police force to reassign them back into the community because they built up a relationship. And they got a lot of information. It was coming under that community policing strategy. And I think that program was broken down. And I realize a lot of communities have lost respect for a lot of the police because they give information and the information come back out. And, there are certain reprisals because of it. So, and another thing that I observed, when they shut down like a Montego Bay or a certain parts of Kingston, it's like you squeeze one section and you push the problem elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And through the years, we have had a lot of migrant criminals coming to St. Thomas and create havoc, raping, hold up, stuff like that. But they never realize that is some of these guys coming from other parishes or communities.
Yes.
I remember recent time we had a famous wanted man come out of St. Thomas. And we can't call him Double Flint. Double Flint was actually in Westmoreland when police was tearing on all of St. Thomas of Lupin. And he was actually conducting a ganja business. And somehow a police team held on to them. And they had him in jail, And he called somebody back up here and the person left and go Westmoreland and bail him. And it's when they bail him and he actually reach back at St. Thomas, them find out that in them they have. And what that is telling me that there is a communication problem within the GSF. They can't really do background checks to effectively find persons through fingerprints and stuff like that. But one of the problems with Double Flint, the picture that they were showing of him, he never looked anything like it. Time they bleach out and change him appearance. If you didn't know him and know how his eyes stay, you would know that is him. I remember one grandma, he was moving up and down in the town, and one heap of police was in the town, and even an assistant commissioner was in the town. Moving through the town, and he was just sitting around in the town and doing his normal business.
So what is it that they didn't see him and they know it was him?
They may have seen him, but they can't recognize it because the picture they're looking for is a black man and the man look white. And that's one of the problems I think they need to put a stop to this bleaching in Jamaica because I see some people change their appearance. I know a young lady that I go to church with for years, and the lady made a call, said backslide, and the lady walk up the step one day, and when she reached the church, me was ashamed because she bleached out. Jesus. And I think the police needs to start IDing persons, and if they can't look like them, ID them, if you detain them and do a thorough check on them. Because the ID don't match them. And that's another problem. So they slip through these SOEs or roadblocks and spot checks because they don't look nothing like what they're looking for. And that's one of the biggest problems. So they're able to move around Jamaica and hide in some little rural communities and create havoc in them. Murder, rape, robbery, all kind of stuff. Because they can't identify them.
Hold on a minute. Mr. Moore, is still there, sir?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
So don't you think that a lack of jobs have a lot to do with it too?
I don't think a lack of jobs have to do with it. I think a lot of skill development. A lot of people don't have the skills to acquire a job. And nobody's owed a job. And some people cannot maintain a job. So it's about skills development, which is another part of the program that the government has brought in. They've brought in a hope program where they're trying to upgrade people's skills through art, and they pay them a stipend, etc. So that is another social development, social intervention that the government has initiated. But let me go further. Throughout the last 2 years, COVID, it has not only taken away government funds, resources, and attention and focus,
Mm.
but it would also have reduced the police force's ability to mobilize their people because many of their people have been COVID victims. Several have died. You must have seen the alerts when this man might have died on the job and that one died on the job. And we're not talking about being killed either. We're just talking about getting sick from COVID, etc. So
Mm.
the conversations I'm hearing tonight are quite interesting about the bleaching and the various disguises that the criminals use and how they get bailed and that kind of thing. I would have to say to you that tonight is encouraging listening to you and Mr. Clark, as well as I believe that more is going to come from the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister knows this. The Prime Minister knows it's his job so that we can sleep with our doors and windows open. He knows it's his job. He knows his job is he's going to have to answer at some point in time. And I believe that I don't have to wait to see if more isn't being done, but I'm satisfied that something is being done. I'm also satisfied enough isn't being done. But I'd rather to know that something is being done versus nothing. And so people have been saying to the government, put in some COVID effort in crime. So this is part of their deployment of a massive amount of resources across 10 parishes and three police divisions, which are the most financially and populated areas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. James, you know, Westmoreland. These are critical parts of the economy, St. Thomas included. And I'm wishing the best for us, and I'm asking that we appeal to the citizens to play a bigger role. The policeman cannot look into my room or my house to know which criminal is under the bed or who we eating with this evening. Is we know who we eating with.
But
We
but but
know
but
who we
but
hiding.
don't people will say a Dwight Moore or a Jeffrey Tavares is an informer.
Well, the gentleman they will say that, and not only will they say that, they may not even know who the informant is. In fact, right now you have a man named Bigger Crime out in Bull Bay that is stopping citizens at random and checking their phones to see their call log because it is that the police is narrowing in on him and his name is being called and he wants to know who is giving up information, so he's nervous. So I am saying to you, we have to go team up on this thing. Leaving it to the government that have bodyguards, security guards, and expensive bulletproof vehicles, that's not enough for us to be comfortable to blame the government or the opposition. It is for us to start being proactive, not by being vigilantes, but by being vigilant.
Right.
So in other
So that's my
words,
message. Let's be vigilant, not be vigilantes.
so in other
And
words,
not be cry babies. Complainers. Let's get active.
so, so so
Let's get active.
so in other words, what you're saying, Mr. Moore, is that every single Jamaican has a part to play in
Of course.
curbing the crime situation in this country that has robbed this country for years.
Many of us are beneficiaries. So the people, because they're benefiting, they are not going to do anything against it. Many institutions and industries, like the car industry I'm a part of, has many of those people playing a game in it, dirty money. You have to go to where the money is.
Don't leave out the gas industry, sir.
All industries.
The, 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 the gasoline industry, I know for a fact, a couple of them are financed by drug dealers and dons. I know that. But there's somebody else.
Think about the real estate. Think about the real estate. Think about the banking sector. Think about attorneys. It's Jamaica. So, you know, right now it's just about who is serious about it. Again, I have to give the government kudos because the Prime Minister said something. And I have to give him credit for what he said. He said, who speaks for the victims?
Yes, he did say it.
And so if he said that, I know the Prime Minister, I haven't spoken to him in a long time. He's too busy for me. But at the end of the day, he said something that is remarkable. and something that would be motivating to keep his energy burning, and so he's relentless in making a dent. So I think something is going to happen between now and December. Mark, you come January 1st, the cycle starts again, and we may have a replay of 2019 or 2020 or 2021. But in the meantime, we might save a few lives, and a few more people may see Christmas that we're not going to see Christmas.
Mr. Clark and Mr. Moore, today when I was listening to the press conference with the Prime Minister, I can see the disgust in Andrew Holness's face and in his voice, and I heard it in his voice. I think he's fed up and sick and tired of what is going on in this country. And I'm not taking up for anybody, because I tell you something. I've always said this. I am not a politician. I'm a Jamaican, and Jamaica come first for me. And when I hear the Prime Minister gave his speech and the disgust that he has in his voice of saying that you behead somebody and you're using their head as a football. What is going on in this country that we are beheading people, Mr. Moore, Mr. Clark?
As I noticed that came up, that popped up on the radar about 2004, 2005. It became very popular, especially here in St. Thomas. And I really have to wonder where this thing is coming from. But you see, as a churchman, I know there's spirits and there's spirits. And
not the Jerry of his nephew, though.
No, not those.
But could be influenced by, but not those.
Yeah, could be. What I have noticed is that as a boy growing up, they used to have the persons used to go to the slaughterhouse and then shoot the bucket or the pan or the base and them catch the blood and them drink it. And they drink it. And I realized that back in those days, man and man used to fight with fists. He might throw 1 and 2 stones, yes. But then I realized it started to evolve where them draw for the machete. Everything you pass to man argue, boy. I look at me, I'm a gun for me, And I hear them say, I left my gun, And it becomes the norm. And there was a famous gunman here. And the night before he died, he was singing a song about my Dracula scream, in killing your dream, and whatever, him drink more blood and whatever. And one of his practice was that he would taste the blood of his victim. Or drink the blood. And what they used to do, they used to go back to the scene and burn the blood. Remember, the blood is the life, So they control the person. So they can't do black and white coming and find out who killed last night or last week. So stuff like that. So I realized they have been practicing a lot of rituals. Just recently they were showing this big scammer was drinking blood out of the head of a goat. And then a couple weeks after, he was murdered. And you hear these kind of practices just keep popping up. And then we have that big episode, one of the cutthroat ministries in Mobile the other day. And you have to really wonder, where is this thing coming from? Where is it heading? And what I realize is that we have turned ourselves away from God. We minimize God. And I just hope nobody get offended by what I'm saying. But when we have a prime minister saying that he's God, then we have a problem, right? So,
which prime minister, sir?
They call him poor God, and I think it's blasphemy. And
no. Hold on, Mr. Moore, Mr. Clark.
That was not God.
Hold on, Mr. Moore.
That's a community thing, man. That's a little undercover. What do you call it?
Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore. That's not named him at the conference, But the man on the street call him bro God. 2 different things. You know what I'm saying? So that's what they call it. And,
but with all fairness, Mr. Clark, hold a minute. With all fairness, the Prime Minister said that he was at the opening of a pharmacy in Kingston, he and his sister. and some school children came inside the pharmacy, saw him, all right, and they were mumbling to themselves. So he asked his sister, what were they saying? And his sister told him that they were saying, bro, God, how they want to call it, is here. So he said to her, who are they calling that? And she said to him, you. So he went down there to them and asked them, why are you calling me that? What is that? And apparently he's a singer who sing a song by the name of whatever they want to call it. And from that, the children start calling him that. It's not as if he gave his name that, It's some school children, I think it's from JC or wherever, started to call him that name.
But Bobby Montague called him broke. Bobby Montague called him broke at the conference.
I am happy for the explanation because I didn't know exactly where the root came from, but I know on the street, people call each other bro God. That is like a close friend of sorts. So I think politically, he may have been in a campaign mode being called bro God and adopted the name as a friendly gesture. But beyond that, and we know it's not God as in G-O-D. But what I'm suggesting, though, is that, as my good friend Mr. Clark was mentioning, the various phases from stick fight, fists to machetes to guns, I then remember the various Hollywood cinematic series, whether it was a Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, or it was the Three Musketeers with their swords. And so now we're down to the gangsters on TV with the shootings and the drive-bys that were famous in California. So we are adopting North American methodologies. We have the Porties and all of that. But nevertheless, I want us to put a drive into our community security. And whether it is that
Mr. Moore, but before you go there, yes. If the government can go to Parliament, and maybe I'd asked this question before, but if the government can go to Parliament, there's a case before the court of this country where a young man brought, I think it's a lawsuit or a civil suit against the government pertaining to some tickets. All right? And the government can go to Parliament in a matter of a day to amend certain things within the Road Traffic Act. Why is it that the Parliament of this country cannot go to Parliament and put down some stiffer sanctions on what is going on in this country?
True.
That's the question I want to ask.
It's true, but remember, the Road Traffic Act is for convicted or charged persons. What we're doing is assuming guilt before innocence in some issues that we would like to see draconian. Because remember now, the SOE program is likely to victimize a lot of innocent people as well as prohibit innocent people if it is much more draconian than it is. The law provides for many, many things, and it is for the citizens to facilitate the police and not for the government to become dictators or be called dictators or to operate as dictators blindly without the citizens assisting in their own security. So the citizens need to now get up and start playing a role. It's happening in the Klansman case right now, and the police are proven that they can be very confidential, very trusted, and I believe that the commissioner that we have and a number of other persons are committed to scoring a result, not just collecting a salary. We have to go try to get the citizens active now. Everything is not in Parliament. The parliamentarians are well protected.
Yes, Mr. Moore, they are well protected, but they are being paid by the taxpayers of this country to go and pass legislation. Same way they can go to Parliament and in a day they pass certain things. Why do they have certain laws in the book from 1940 something, from 18 something, from 18 this and why they can't do something about it, Mr. Moore, to make sure that when a person going to Miss Matty house go tear off Miss Matador 80 something and kill her. Why they can't do something to find these people and put the full force of the law on them? I think we should resume hanging in this damn country.
I agree
that
with
doesn't
you.
really happen that doesn't really happen in America. That not really happen in Canada. That not really happen in UK. Those draconian laws, and we want to live like those people. If we wanted to live like Cuba, then we would have had more of a Cuban type democracy. So therefore, the prime minister is a man who's very astute and listens enough. And we have a younger leader of opposition who is also very astute. They are very alert and aware of what is happening in the country right now. Believe me, these gentlemen are on the ground. They have their ears on the ground. The leader of opposition is a man who's an MP for a serious inner city community. So is the prime minister. They know what is happening, and even the last leader of opposition. So I would say to you now, the challenge, we don't want a law that affects me when I am trying to be the best person and the best human I can be at this time. I want it to affect the man who is guilty, the man who is busy creating the havoc.
Right.
So we don't want a draconian law that is supposed to affect everybody, including the innocent, and the good suffer for the bad. So let us expose the bad. Let us focus on exposing the bad. We have been hugging out the bad for a long time, and we are in bed with the bad. We're collecting money from the bad. We're laundering the money for the bad. We're eating dinner with the bad. Let's expose the bad, as is done, proven by Mr. Fitzbailey and his team, Mocha, and other agencies that are there now who are sincerely protecting witness identity and prosecuting and charging serious criminals. They're running scared now.
Yes, they're running
hiding.
scared.
They're migrating.
I
They're
agree.
migrating.
I
May I
agree.
interject?
I agree. Hold on a minute for me. I agree that they're hiding and who is taking plane. 5 flights a day according to Michael Manley. But the fact of the matter is, Mr. Moore and Mr. Clark, stiffer sanctions need to be put down for these criminals to understand that this government and this country will not put up to these people going around taking away people's phone and shooting them, sticking up people and killing them. It cannot continue in a modern democracy that we have.
Let's gang them. Let's gang the gangsters. Let's gang the gangsters.
May I interject?
Go ahead.
Somewhere in the 80s, going up to the 90s, there was a serious crime problem in New York. I think Giuliani was mayor at the time,
Yes.
and he had deployed police on every corner. And one of the things they did was they implemented a law where if you're caught with a gun for the first time is, I think, 5 years minimum. And the second is 15, the third is life. There had a serious reduction of gun crimes when that law was there.
You know,
And
yeah,
right.
something. When I heard the prime minister said something today, that caught my ears because I don't know if he's listened to my program or he may listen to somebody who I speak to. I said the same way, and I know a lot of people have been saying it, the same way they go around and promote the vaccination of the citizens. We need to go around and figure out how we can get the guns under control in this country, the crime under control in this country. We as a nation, Mr. Clark and Mr. Moore, we cannot, and I will repeat myself again, we cannot continue like this as a nation when you have the Governor General and the Prime Minister and the people saying that they have a 2030 vision. And I keep on asking myself, 2030 vision for where?
So,
for
technically,
where?
how much years from now?
Right now, I'm interested in the 2022 vision. Yes, I believe that there needs a 2030 vision. But as I said to you, let us keep hope alive. Let us engage more stakeholders. Let before, let's put it this way.
Remember what you're gonna say, Mr. Moore. We're gonna say this evening program is brought to you by Brown's Media. That's the Brown's Media. This evening program is brought to you by Brown's Media, owned and operated by Owen Brown. You can like, share, and subscribe to this channel. As Jeffrey Tavares channel. Like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. We are talking to Mr. Moore, businessman, Mr. Clark, from over St. Thomas. We are talking about the Jamaica's crime problem. What can we do as Jamaicans to curb the crime in our country? The Prime Minister has issued SOE in state of emergency in Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James. Those are the division, Mr. Moore, eh?
There's some for Kingston too.
And Kingston and St. Andrew. Mr. Moore, go ahead, sir. Mr. Moore? Oh Lord, don't tell me I lose him again.
All right. I wanted to say something earlier.
Go ahead.
Madagascar had a serious crime problem some years ago. And they never increased the size of their police force or their military. They never bought them new equipment or vehicles or guns. They never built prisons. What they did was they started a feeding program for those who are in school. And from kindergarten right up. And within 2 years, they had a serious reduction in them. The thinking was that a person that is fed can make better decisions. So if a man goes to school and he's hungry, you know that thing about
So hold on, Mr. Clark. So you're saying to me majority of these criminals are dying for hunger?
Quite possibly, because sometimes it's
No. Me not believe that.
You'll be surprised to know, Mr. Tavares. You'll be surprised to know.
Yeah, Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore, you there?
Yeah, I'm there now. I would want to tell you that the masterminds and many of the guys executing are not of the former era of barefoot criminals. These guys wear Clarks and other expensive shoes. They drive a lot of expensive cars. They drink Hennessy and do a lot of other things. This is not a one meal and one pot a day. That is construction workers who are having those problems now. So it's a different game. I would I'm not going to argue with you. I'm sure both exist. But in another sense, we are dealing with masterminds. And we are discovering how much extortion money is generated and how many enterprises these guys control. They are in the transport sector. They're in a whole heap of different businesses. Okay?
And what I get to understand that some of these high-rise buildings in Kingston owned by some of them.
Well, there you go. I don't know. I can't confirm, but I'm sure why not. The important point is, let us look to solutions. The citizen. Look here. Right now we have a vaccination blitz where the government has had to throw away vaccines. Hundreds of thousands of vaccines because the people have resisted it. The people are here not resisting crime.
In other words, they're hugging it up.
Resisting crime. They would have been throwing out those criminals out of their communities or exposing them.
Yes.
There's not more citizens, there's not more good citizens or citizens than the criminals. As many criminals as there may be. So in the same way they reject the vaccine, which they have a right to, if they choose to, is the same way they can reject the criminals and expose these criminals so we can get to who needs to get to. And change the game. I mean, let's put it this way. This thing is complicated enough.
The problem is, Mr. Moore.
That's simple. Yes, my friend.
Some of these communities are so ruled with such a iron fist that the community can't speak much. Just as how I think it was you were mentioning about that guy from Bull Bay checking persons' phones. That's the type of control some of them have on their communities, you know. You'd have one down in a Bull Bay some years ago. He used to see a girl and say, "You come on my yard 7 o'clock, you know." And she had to go. No matter her age, she had to go. It's either she go or she dead. You understand me? It's situations like those that is occurring in Jamaica right now, where persons that have the criminal wherewithal, they have such a tight control on their communities, and persons are, and if them say them talk to a policeman, they can just generally have a regular conversation, and there are repercussions for that. I know one girl nearly did because she talked to a policeman, and they done them fine out.
That is true too. That is true. But it comes back to the will of the people and the numbers. Right now, I am satisfied that the government may have even been passive. The government may have not been aggressive, but I'm satisfied the government has been strategic. And what Mr. Fitz, Bailey, and team has been able to pull together today with prosecutors and other policemen and other law enforcement agencies is unprecedented, and that is something we should hail, give strength and power to, and recognize that it is not normal times and it's not business as usual. That is something that cannot be swept under or just thrown to the side because of any panic. You can't panic. You have to be prepared to handle the situations we're dealing with. The Prime Minister did look for.
The Prime Minister did what, sir? Hello?
Some more? To piggyback on what you were saying, Jeffrey, I welcome that sort of initiative that was launched today. I welcome it with open arms. My problem is that will there be roving teams in these communities going through maybe a house to house or corner by corner, that kind of energy? Also, will they keep the momentum going? But sometimes they tend to get relaxed when they get into these areas. And then there was a picture was released, I think last year, showing some police and soldiers, some were sleeping, some on their phone busy, just doing their thing.
You hearing me?
Yes. So they cannot tell if we're going to have roving people or what, because we're not sending all the messages out there. That is the nature of security.
Yeah, man,
we can say what we want. We can tell them the menu we would like. We can call the area officer and tell him what you know. It's 9 o'clock. I delayed some other activities I have, and I do have a Sunday family. but forgive me. I love this. I love this. I love this, and I'm happy we're able to speak. And I'm hoping that it will help us moving forward. And we have to go motivate the police officers and the military. And we're going to have to strengthen our community.
Mr. Moore, I must say thanks to Mr. Dwight Moore, and I hope you don't be a stranger now to Make We Talk special edition. And I hope we can get Mr. Fitz Bailey and other people that you have, you name them by name to come on to a program. We can organize one Sunday, even have them on. What do you think?
It's the best thing we can do, and these people are committed servants to the nation. To be honest with you, salary is one thing, but you have to have a passion. And I think what we have seen, if we didn't see it before, we now know that results count and effort, significant effort goes into results. And so we have to sing praises to some of these servants who are out there making sure we are safer and safer for generations to come. And this initiative today is going to cause some people to see Christmas that were not going to see Christmas. I assure you that.
Yes.
And so all of us must take on a responsibility right now to make sure that our friends and family are safer for the rest of this year and use that as a momentum builder into the following year.
Thank you, Mr. Dwight Moore, businessman, talking about Jamaica's crime problem. What is our solution? I must say thank you very much, sir. We're going to have another part 2 of this, where we're going to see if we can get the Minister of National Security and the Commissioner that comes on, and the opposition spokesperson on national security. Mr. Moore, thank you very much, sir.
You're most welcome, my brother. Looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir Clark, you and I leave here.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna wrap up pretty soon, but I hold on there. I see where in my technical person is sending me a message. Okay, he's saying good discussion. I wonder if Mr. Owen Brown from Roots FM can just come in and give us a few words. Owen, are you there? Until he unmute his mic, let us continue this discussion. We're speaking about our crime problem in Jamaica. Yet the Prime Minister and the Governor General and other people are saying that we are going towards a 2030 vision where people can live and work securely in this country. Can that really happen? I have with me Mr. Clark, a very good friend of mine. We're discussing this issue. The whole idea of the crime in this country, the whole thing of what can we do to stem the crime situation in Jamaica. Should we have some community discussion on how, going forward, Mr. Clark?
All right. I'm going to speak from experience. And you probably have heard me mention before. Early 2000, there was a community in St. Thomas called Seaford. They had murders per day. The town would lock down by 4:35. It's a ghost town from 5 o'clock. And SSP McGregor, Steve McGregor, and we went into the community with a team. And we went to every lane and had meetings with each lane. And we called out the Dans and the this and the that and the general community. And we met with several of these lanes. And let me tell you something. What the root of the problem was? One baseball hat, two men argue over it years before the overshooting. And the two gentlemen were living overseas and sending back money to the community to finance the war. When we
over a baseball bat?
A baseball hat, okay. Simple hat. And everybody was like, what? And, we had to do some serious work into that community, and it came to an end. But it needs more initiatives like those. And when the JSF had started the community policing program, it had some glitches in it and some weaknesses. It had some strengths also. And I think they need to revisit that. But one of the main problems with the police and communities is that the lack of trust. They don't trust police. And then they see how police come in sometime and become abusive to persons that may not be criminals, some may be. And it's an image problem, it's a trust problem, and persons tend to shut down. And are afraid to say things to the police that needs to be said. Critical information that could have been given, they don't want to do it. I too had a personal experience where I said something to a policeman about another colleague. And he go back and tell him what I'm saying. And the man is very off.
Mr. Clark, we have a question here from senior journalist from Roots FM. Dudley Thompson is asking the question, is under-policing in Jamaica is also a contributing factor to the crime situation in this country?
Did you say under-policing?
Yes.
Yes, I think so. Too often I've seen some police just idle. In my town, there's so much police that is stationed in the town. We never see them on the streets. The only ones you may see is the traffic cops. They are busy writing tickets. And I think one of the problems is also the focus of the police force is too much on traffic. Not that we're not supposed to uphold traffic laws. But I think there's too much focus on it. Because I even see ops team a right ticket. You have to know duty and your function. You know, if you're a special ops team, you should be doing special ops. And it comes back again to this image thing again. You're in a small town like my town, and police are walking with a big iPod weapon in a denim. It's like in a war zone, you know. Yeah, if you do that in a town like Ocherius and Montego Bay and Portland,
Mr. Clark, isn't Jamaica a war zone? If people beheading people in this country, huh?
I don't think we're really
Hold on a minute, man. Hold on a minute, sir. If Jamaicans are beheading people in this country, if a church leader can organize himself to be a cult leader and telling people that he can resurrect them and slitting their neck, aren't we? Isn't this country a war zone?
I still say no. We have some serious issues, and it comes back to control. It comes back to corruption. It comes to our approach, and I think the JCF needs to really do an in-depth study on themselves and see how best they can interact with communities, how they can build back trust, how they can reshape the image of how the community sees them, because there's a serious trust issue with them.
Yes, there's a serious trust issue. But what I am saying also, are we becoming a nation of barbaric people? What are we becoming in this country? Wherein we can kick off Miss Matador, rape Miss Matty at 80-something-year-old. And when you go in front of the court, the judge giving you XQYs and you come out again. Listen to me. Until the government of this country, and I don't care what you want to say, until we resume hanging in this country, and until we stop paying these people to go to parliament to just pass legislation to suit themselves, then this country will not be better. Yes, we need to come together, but we also need to have the politicians go to parliament and pass some legislation in the House of Representatives, not some 1942 law that have in existence, and until nothing has been done about it. Go ahead, sir.
I'm gonna borrow a comment my wife just made after the side here. She said that the government has taken an approach where they are sparing the rod and spoiling the child.
Same way, sir.
And until they stop sparing the rod and spoil the child, until we stop that, we'll continue to have this decrease or derivation of morals, principles, and values, and become barbaric and evil and vicious and do gruesome acts. Until we seriously start to let the law to have some bite. And as I say, get rid of these archaic laws that are outdated. You know, when I look at, like I said, there's too much focus on traffic. And too
much focus on the whole idea of Jamaica becoming a republic. If we become a republic and get rid of the Queen, is the crime situation in our country gonna stop? All I can hear in the House of Parliament talking about this damn republic. Get a republic to do what?
I don't see it having much effect on crime. I more see that it would fuel the crime situation, because you see, as I said, it come back to corruption and trust again with government and politicians. Nobody has no respect for these politicians, you know. And you were talking about Lisa Anna the other day, and she came out and was speaking about that. And it's the truth she's talking.
Yes. Listen to me. When I heard Lisa made the speech, the Honorable Lisa Hanna, don't say Lisa, Miss Hanna. When I heard Miss Hanna made the speech in the House of Representatives, I said to myself, she's speaking the truth. The Jamaican people has no regard nor no respect for the political elite of this country, because they put themselves in that position. for us not to respect them, for us not to have any form of respect for them. And I keep and when you have a government, the both side of the part, the both side of the fence, the PNP and the JLP, because we have been swapping black dog for monkey for far too long in this country. From 1945 until now, PNP, JLP, JLP, PNP. What has they done to solve the crime problem in this country? What have they done to say, okay, the people put we here, let us do something about it? They haven't done anything more than they hug up gangsters and hug up corruptions and hug up all kind of thing. And now it is out of hand. It is out of hand and there's nothing that they can do about it now.
Jeffrey, I just going to give you a few quotes. Monkey see, monkey do. We need to lead by example. When you have a situation like traffic guru, you have the petroleum scandal, you have the CMU scandal, and this one and that one, and Ministry of Education, and nothing has been done. And you hear about these monies missing or spent illegally or whatever, and nothing has been adjudicated in the court. And you only hear say, boy, no evidence. Look on the light bulb scandal. I just say that member of parliament was going to go to prison, and it draw out like we say, hear nothing about it. It's true, and people say, all right, if politicians can do this and get it, me can do this and get ready too. And that is what is happening. They are not leading by examples. They are setting the wrong precedent. And until a prime minister or until a leader of the opposition to or their person that is accused of something and let the law have its way.
Listen to me. Until a politician go to prison like Jack Smith. When Jack Smith went to prison for the cane farmers' money.
Yeah.
Until one of these politicians go in a general penitentiary, go rub dirty floor and concrete in there. And it's full time we call for constitutional reform in this country now. Full time. Mr. Clark, your final word because we have to wrap up.
Yes, I wanted to say something when Mr. Moore was here, and I didn't get the chance. But I'm gonna say it now. You know that the GSF and the JDF and the Minister of Security and the Minister of Justice, the Prime Minister, whoever it is of the day that is in power or is in control of these offices. Do you know that crime can be solved in Jamaica? And I can prove it to you. You know what? Anytime you see a big man get killed or robbed or whatever, and look how quick they find the perpetrator.
Listen to me. It's the same way. You remember the whole Geraldine case, the local girl from St. Thomas who went missing from the University of the West Indies? Yeah. The young man who went and disrespected the office of the Prime Minister and the Prime Minister himself. And in less than 24 hours, they find the bloody man?
Yes.
Okay. What that signify to you?
Get any big man get touched and see how quick it's solved. Just watch. And I can remember a case in Manchester. There was this gentleman from Kingston, this Chinese man, and they found his body in I think it was St. Mary. And look how quick they found everybody involved.
You know, quickly. Mutty Perkins always say, Mutty Perkins always said that the law for the upper class of Jamaicans stop at the end of Crossroad.
Yes. Yes. But I want to throw another one in the picture to you. Did you know that the Chinese have a different law for them though?
I don't disbelieve you. I don't disbelieve you.
Touch the Indians, the same kind of effect. You remember that shooting, that robbery that happened one Sunday evening in Montego Bay? Some guardsman got killed in a money transfer, and a Chinese man was in the van.
Mm-hmm.
His driver died, and not even a scratch touched that Chinese gentleman. Right? And a whole heap of persons died. All of the black man, them, the Chinese man never even get a scratch. And then a couple months after, this big robbery in Clarendon, same Chinese situation. They never touched one of them, they just shoot them in one pro box, and this big shootout, and they drove down the road and let them out. Not a scratch.
Sir Clark, thank you very much for coming on to discuss our crime situation in this country. The Prime Minister of Jamaica, along with the Minister of National Security, who is the Deputy Prime Minister, and the Minister and the Commissioner of Police, and the Chief of Defense Force, the Chief of the Jamaica Defense Force. They went on this morning at about 10 o'clock for emergency press briefing to address the nation. That section of Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Kingston, and St. Andrew is under curfew at the moment, under strict, tight security measures. Jamaica is under lockdown. Not the entire Jamaica, but majority of Jamaica is under lockdown because of the crime situation in this country. Thank you very much for coming on. We're going to try and do this next week, Sunday again, when we're going to try and get some security personnel to come on. Sir Clark, I want to say thank you for coming on.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure. Anything for my nation.
Thank you very much, sir. I must say thanks to Mr. Dwight Moore for coming on the program also. He came on and, he spoke very passionate about our country. Jamaica needs help. Our nation needs help. Our nation needs prayer. When the former Minister of National Security under the PNP regime, now Senator Peter Bunting, called for divine intervention, we all came down on him and laughed at him and said, listen to me, man, you're the Minister of National Security, you must do something. But being a person who grew up in the churches in the grill, Jamaica need divine intervention. We do need it. My fellow Jamaicans, as we discuss this issue of our crime situation in our country, let us continue to pray for this nation. Let us continue to pray for the leader of this nation. We don't have to be PNP nor JLP. Jamaica is our country. Jamaica is our island. And as a friend of mine always said, my heart salute Jamaica, triumphant. We must salute our country. We must go down on our knees and pray for this nation. The crime situation in Jamaica cannot continue. My fellow Jamaicans, the crime situation in this country cannot continue. It is full time for us to get a grip on it. Politicians can't. Politicians won't. From 1945 until now, we've been swapping black dog for monkey in this country for far too long. None of the political parties has any crime plan for this country. We need to take a stand in this country. It's either we push them to put stiffer legislation in the books, because if they can go to Parliament and amend the law to suit themselves, why can't they go to Parliament and amend the law to suit the Jamaican people? We put them there. They are the servant of the people of this country. Let me make this clear. I am not a member of any political party in Jamaica. I am a Jamaican, and Jamaica come first for me. Until next week, Sunday at 7:30, when we have a robust discussion again on a special edition of Make We Talk, join me this Tuesday on Roots 96.1 FM for the presentation of Make We Talk. We'll be speaking to an attorney at law on the Road Traffic Act 2021. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Share my YouTube channel so friends and family, because we're not gonna stop until something is being done to the crime situation in Jamaica, from Negril Point to Moran Point. We're gonna have discussions, and not only discussions, we must have solutions. So until you hear my voice again, may God bless you, and may God bless Jamaica land we love. Thank you all.